Hey, what's going on? 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. Right here, we got Tug of War Machine right here live on the radio station airwaves. How are you doing this? How are you doing this evening, man?
Oh man, I'm great. Couldn't be any better. If I was any better, I couldn't stand it. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing great, man. Best I can possibly be. Just enjoying my Friday night. Super happy that it's Friday, man. I'm looking forward to the weekend and what kind of shenanigans my white ass can get into.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what it's all about. Getting into trouble.
Hey, man. I will be honest though, man. There ain't no shenanigans going on over here. I gotta work all weekend, so I mean, like most
Uh,
people work Monday through Friday and whatnot. I work every day of the week, so realistically, there ain't no fun for DJ Immortal over here.
I get it, man. I lived that lifestyle before too, so I totally understand. How's the weather out there today?
Oh man, not too bad. A little cold, a little muggy. We're just transitioning from summer to fall, so I mean, she's a tidbit nipply. It's getting into the jacket weather.
Oh wow, yeah. It was beautiful here. I can't complain. It was out of this world. Like seven it was sunny with a high of 75 here in New Jersey. It was like
Oh, that's not even that bad, man. That's beautiful.
we went from summer to winter for like 2 days and then like back to summer again. Now it's like a perfect in between. That's what we get out here.
It sounds like you guys got some Ontario type weather out there, man. That's the same way we are. We could have blistering cold weather, then the next day it's like, I can go to the beach. What?
Very, yeah, it's very bipolar. It's just it doesn't want to make up its mind right now. It's cool though. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. You don't know if you want to bust out the hoodies or not, you know. But
Oh man, I'm stubborn, man. Once the hoodie season starts, I'll wear it. I don't even care if it's hot out, man. You know what I mean?
hey man, I feel you. I
But I
like
gotta ask, man. I gotta take you back to the beginning of your amazing career, man. I have to ask, what actually sparked not only like the your passion for punk rock, but also Tug of War Machine as a band itself, man? Because I do know obviously there is more than one member of this band.
yeah, dude. That's a great question actually. So, Tug of War Machine, circa 2017, I would say, is when it kind of sparked up. So I was originally playing in a band called Carpet Ride, and we were doing pretty good. We were pretty active in the tri-state area. You know, we were doing some pretty big things, and we were playing like every few days. You know, we are like traveling around and you know playing like we played New York, we played New Jersey, like Pennsylvania. We try to keep it. You know, we were trying to build ourselves in that scene, but we were pretty active. We were like releasing music and content nonstop. It was a really good time. What happened? I guess life kind of got in the way at some point, and then so we took a little bit of a break from the nonstop, relentless activity. I remember at that time, I think our drummer was doing something else, and then Tommy. So it was a power trio. So Tommy, the other guy in my band, he went on to a law school actually. So I was kind of just doing the same shit I always did. When I was playing music, I was in and out of the restaurant industry and stuff. So I was just always kind of just like a leaf in the wind, you know, floating around, but doing my thing. But Tug of War Machine actually came from like the whole tug of war complex of like, do I, you know, adhere to life demands or do I keep the party going? So it was like Tug of War Machine was just a bunch of unreleased, I feel like Carpet Ride songs that we never really got to bring to the studio. And I talked to Tommy, and he was like, "Dude, I'm so busy. Like, you need to take these songs though, and you need to like go and release them." And like, I had such a laundry list of, you know, songs written and stuff that it was expensive to record back then. We were like 17, 18, 19, early 20s. We were playing in that band, so we didn't really have much of an income other than the band and the little side jobs that we were doing. So we never really got to record everything that we wanted to. So basically Tug of War Machine kind of became that museum of songs that Carp Ride never got to release. And it was basically like a solo studio project when I first started. And my whole mission was to kind of go in the studio, you know, record like 5 or 6 songs, little demo tapes or EP or whatever, which actually ended up being, I don't know if you listened to Crooked Waldo and the Dirt Circus. So that was like those were Carpet Ride songs, but I actually went to the studio. I recorded them with my buddy Pete, my longtime friend Pete, and we released those under the moniker Tug of War Machine because that was like that was just the name. Actually, it's actually a Motion City soundtrack lyric. Not a lot of people know that, but me and Tommy actually thought of the name a long time ago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like the name is so like interesting." It's tough to find a band name. It's like everything is taken. So many bands out there, so it's like it's hard to be creative. So it was like what was cool about it was like the one thing that I could do is I could go Google Tug of War Machine and nothing else popped up. It was such like interesting name. So yeah, that's basically the short story of many years of struggle and writing and releasing stuff. Tug of War Machine Complex, that's what it was. So
And also, speaking of Crooked Waldo and the Dirt Circus, that album actually dropped on New Year's Eve of 2017. I know you just told us a bit about it, but is that album actually still out there to be streamed or purchased today? And if so, where can we actually snag ourselves a copy of it?
yeah, so Crooked Waldo is definitely like that was the first batch of songs that I laid down. That's available everywhere for sure. Apple Music, Spotify. That's crazy that it was released on New Year's Eve because I didn't even know that. Like, thanks for reminding me. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I've always make when the questions I ask, I make sure I know the dates and the years of when it actually came out. I always do my research, man.
That's so cool. I'm like kind of throwing back, like, wow, I kind of do remember that now. Like, that was a raging New Year's. Like, we released a little EP that year, but yeah, that album's available everywhere. Just like I uploaded that stuff along like on the same platform that I uploaded. It just goes up on everything. I'm pretty sure for the most part. So yeah, those are great songs. I had my buddy Kevin at the time. He came to the studio with me, and me and him were basically writing that whole entire EP together. So cool because I saw Kevin like 3 days ago at my buddy's wedding, and I haven't seen him in a while. So that was really awesome to catch up with him and reminisce about the good times, like going to the studio and writing that album. He's such a cool guy and so creative. And yeah, so basically I use the guitar as like a tool for songwriting. I've been playing guitar since I was 13 years old, I would say. I think I got my first guitar when I was 12 years old. And I never got better since then. I always kind of like I learned how to play the power chord. And then from there, like, I just kind of I never learned how to formally play the guitar, which is kind of like a curse, but also a blessing because I feel like I just end up writing very cookie cutter basic shit, which is like perfect for the whole pop punk element and the music that I grew up on and love. Like, I feel like I'm a lot like you, honestly, where I don't want to make an ass out of you and me, but I'm assuming you're just a fan of like the early 2000s pop punk and stuff and all those awesome bands and just the best times.
Guilty. I can't even see it, but I'm wearing a Blink hat.
Oh man, oh god. And the resurrection of Blink with Tom is just, I'm just so happy that I kind of like stuck with it because I realized when Carper Ride was playing, we like kind of were coming up around the 2007, 2008 area. And like, I feel like pop punk was kind of taking a little bit of a sleeper at that moment. I remember going to Warped Tour in like 2007, 2008. And like, it was awesome. It was just like the pop punk was kind of like, people weren't peddling the pop punk as much as they are recently. Like, people are, I guess, are just recently realizing like, man, those are the best songs and the best times and when we were young, and all those bands are coming back now and Blink is like resurrected. It's such like a cool like resurrection of that whole entire scene, that whole vibe and fun loving, just the community is just amazing, man. There's no such thing as like hating this person or hating that person or anything. Like, it was just the community of everyone just getting together and having a good time. I remember when we were playing music, it was probably like when we were playing pop punk, it was probably the worst time to be playing it because no one really understood it at the time. But we were just those warriors that were like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing it anyway. Well, it's the only kind of music we do know how to play or we're capable of playing. But also, I mean, it's the music of our youth. It's the music that, we grew up on, and writing it is just, it's just such a blast, especially when you combine your artistic, leverage with other people and stuff with that you could bounce ideas off of and everything, like, so I'm a very basic cookie cutter songwriter, but like when I get together with someone in the studio who's like an actual musician, like my guitarist now, Chris, like me and him, like we'll get together and I'll play like the rhythm guitar to something and he'll just like, I don't know if you heard any of the new stuff, but our song IO Utopia off of our EP IO Utopia, the guitar comes in, like the rhythm and everything just comes in right away, and there's just like this epic kind of lead over it. And that lead didn't exist until like me and Chris got together, and like he was like, "This is what I hear," and then actually he texted me. I remember him texting me a video of him playing the lead over like a scrap guitar video of me playing the rhythm. We were bringing the songs to the studio maybe a week or two after, so. And I didn't understand what he was doing. And honestly, I always kind of let everyone in the band take their own creative kind of outlook and just put it, because they're all artists. I have like no ego or anything, so it's like they're all artists. I want them to use their creative edge and put it on that record, as they want, because I want them to be enthusiastic about what they're playing and I want them to enjoy what they're playing. So I always let people kind of have like the creative edge of doing what they want, like whether it's the drums or anything. That's what's fun about the way I write music, is it's very basic, kind of like Blink, I guess you could compare it to, where like Blink kind of writes cookie cutter pop punk, but then you see Travis like playing these like real intricate, complex, cool things, and like that makes the song, that ends up making the song like as exciting as they could be. So I mean, yeah, it's
And speaking of
just
that song, man,
it's really cool, man.
I do know that it actually dropped a few weeks ago on September 15th, and also you got an amazing video as well for IO Utopia. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that music video, man, because I really loved what you guys did with it, man. It really has, like, as you say, like that old school pop punk feel.
Yeah. So IO Utopia. I mean, I will say I wrote all 3 songs on that EP. I probably wrote in my late teens, which is pretty. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, really?" Because we just released it now in 2023, and I mean, I'm 35 years old. I don't know how old you are, but my late teens were like almost 20 years ago. So those songs, though, they just like, some of them just stick with you, and you never really think they're complete until they are, and they just kind of like got to a point where like, wow, man, I've been thinking of these songs, kind of like, there's just, I had a laundry list of songs, like I said, and then it's like a few of them really just kind of stick out and they don't really go away in your head. And then those songs ended up being like IO Utopia when I brought them to the dudes, and they kind of just polished them off and rounded them off with whatever they wanted to do. And it just all, you could hear it all on the record. It all just came together. And like I said, man, I keep it very basic and very kind of like poppy. We're basically like, I mean, I wish I had more vocal capabilities and stuff, but I would say we're like in sync with heavy guitars. It's very corny, pop punky kind of stuff. And it's like a real fun loving EP, which I'm stoked about, because I feel like Crooked Waldo is like a real energetic and fun and like just in your face. And I love playing those songs to this day, despite the fact that we released them like 7 years ago. And I didn't even have a band really back then. That was actually, we released Crooked Waldo. I released Crooked Waldo. And the ultimate plan was to use those songs to accumulate and find a band. And thank God, like back in the few years after that, when I was going to take those songs out on the circuit, in the live circuit, and play them live, I was a chef at a cafe actually at the time, where the guy was like, yeah, I actually have a bassist in my band who's a really good drummer. And then that's how I met Jordan, who was on All of Cry Society. That was the EP that we released after Crooked Waldo. My buddy Jordan, who I still talk to and really good friends with, but he's a real talented guy. He plays like every instrument too. He's a really good drummer, and he used to sing on record, which was amazing. So when I was collaborating with him, um, those songs on Cry Society, you could hear like the elements of his harmonies and stuff with me, and that was a really good time. It was just like Tug's been through so many kind of eras and stuff. It's been like a revolving door for musicians and friends and stuff, and I always kept it fun. I'm like, listen, this is gonna be a fun project. I just like we have these songs. We're in New Jersey. There's a great music scene. Maybe like people will want to hear them. So we started taking them out and put them in front of people's faces, and then we started seeing the heads bob, and it just kind of we just never stopped. And of course, things kind of happen where Jordan ends up having a couple kids and getting married and moving out of state, and then who was playing guitar at the time? My real good friend John at the time was playing guitar, and you know we all then the pandemic happened, so that's what's happened. Then pandemic happened, and we were just kind of locked down. But that's what happened right after Cry Society. So weird too, because a lot of those songs are just like kind of they're melancholy. Like I realized that when I was like we were releasing a song like Cry Society. It's not really like the pop punk vibes I was going for. So I feel like every EP album or whatever we released kind of equal each other out. So we put out Crooked Waldo, which was like this really fun loving, like energetic, immature kind of like jumpy EP where people could jump around, have a good time. Then like Cry Society, we kind of toned it down a bit, kind of a little more melancholy, kind of just a little darker. And then what was that? Oh, then so after Cry Society, obviously I had to go, complete extreme, and then we released Childlike Symptoms, which was also I went to the studio with my buddy Jordan, and we basically laid down all that stuff, and it was still almost like a solo studio project at the time. I feel like, other than the fact that Jordan was laying down drums and like doing the vocals and stuff, and he just had awesome hair and beautiful voice. I used to always make fun of him, but we had a great dynamic. Still talk to him every day. But somewhere along the line, pandemic hit, lives changed, and then it was like I had to make moves. Like people were kind of in and out, and then I was like, we took a big break there. So what happened in that big break was, I guess I was writing. Well, we released Childlike Symptoms right in between the lockdowns and stuff. It was like we knew we weren't going to be playing live really too often, but we wanted to still stay active. And a lot of bands were kind of thrown in the towel because that's how like they made money, like touring and stuff. So we saw it as like an opportunity, like, oh man, let's sprint right now. Let's do a full length album. Despite the fact it was thematic, a lot of those songs are like a minute and a half long. Some of them are less than a minute long. Like I wanted to release a full length album, but I realized a lot of songs, especially in pop punk, when they go beyond like 3.5, 4 minutes, you're kind of just like, all right, man, we got the point. Let's move on, But those songs are just like, it's kind of like an ADD attack. It's like boom, 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 and then it goes into, and each track like flows into one of another. It was very thematic. I kind of thought that out. I really thought that out in a way a lot of people wouldn't understand. But if you listen to it, the songs don't really, there's no like real break. They kind of just like, there's like the last note rings out, and then like the next song kind of starts over that song. So I kind of like mapped that out that way intentionally, and it just kind of keeps going until the very end, where it was such a good time. It was like we took such a terrible situation where it was like, lives were flipped upside down and stuff. We're like, let's go to the studio and let's just like record a full length album, even though no one else has like the ambition to be creative or do anything right now because no one knows what direction the world's really going in. But we took a negative and turned it into a positive, and we got Childlike Symptoms out of it, which I'm stoked about. Those songs are such a good time. When we play them live today, it's just like they're so childish intentionally, but there's
And
like,
also, man, speaking about playing live, man, my apologies. On August 26th of 2022, you had the opportunity to actually share the stage with Canadian punk rock bands Sum 41 and Simple Plan on their Blame Canada tour over at on the summer stage. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about last year, and of course, did you get the opportunity to kick it with any of the members of Sum 41 or Simple Plan?
Hey man, awesome question. That was actually that was probably our career highlight. Obviously, that was one of the coolest shows we ever played. However, we didn't technically share the stage with them because they were playing. We play a venue, is a local venue here in New Jersey called the Stone Pony, and it's a club. But in the summertime, right out back of the club, there's a huge stage like you'd see on Warped Tour, almost like the main stage of Warped Tour is like they call it the Stone Pony Summer Stage. So basically, what they do is they have these big acts, like Sum 41 was coming through, and I don't know how we were considered to be any part of that bill, but yeah, they have like a pre-show party and an after party set that they put on it inside the club when they have these big outside stage. It's almost like a mini festival. But it's not like a festival because like a festival has a bunch of stages. This is just like one big outside stage with like the club stage going on in between the outside bands, I guess, to keep people entertained in between or whatever. But I didn't actually, that it's pretty funny. That show happened on August 25th. I'm pretty sure it was originally supposed to be on like June 20 something. I would have to look back and look and see exactly, but that was rescheduled because of something COVID oriented. Someone in one of the groups had coronavirus. They had to reschedule like a portion, like a block of that, Blame Canada tour, the Simple Plan. So we were kind of like, oh my God, like, is this going to happen? It was just like, we always feel like we're kind of cursed in a way. So like, oh my God, we're playing this show and like, we're playing with Sum 41 Simple Plan. It's going to be so cool. Like, COVID's over and blah, blah, blah. And then, oh wait, so someone got sick in the camp and now they're pushing it 2 months later. And who knows what's going to happen 2 months later. Like, there's always like some kind of shit that would go wrong. But that show happened on August 26th. Unfortunately, we didn't get to meet anyone. I think everyone was still real careful with like interacting with fans and getting too close because that was still lingering. Like the whole, you had to cancel shows if you had a positive test in your camp for COVID and stuff. So artists were being kind of smart, not really being too interactive with like fans and outside people just for the sake of being able to put on their show and not have any of their shows canceled, which I completely respect. But I did meet Dave Brown Sound a few years prior we played a real little club called the Brighton Bar, which unfortunately isn't around anymore. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but there was a band, Black Cat Attack, that Dave Brown Sound played guitar for like a little bit, and they were like kind of like a horror rock band. And real cool. Like they just fucking shred, man. There's like, he's doing the same shit he does in Sum 41, just like nonstop with like his skills and shredding it. But I got to kick it with him a little bit at that show. Unfortunately, he wasn't playing in Sum 41 at the time, but man, what an awesome guy. He's just like such a down to earth, nice guy. I love shooting the shit with him. He's so cool and just super handsome too. His hair was like, the way he like slicks his hair, I was just like, he looked almost like plastic. Like he was so perfectly groomed and everything. I'm like this shaggy kind of guy that walked off the streets, and I'm trying to be like, oh man, thank you so much for letting us, so it's so awesome to play with you and this and that. Had no idea that I'd be opening up for his band Sum 41 years later. But yeah, that's the only time I actually met anyone from the band was when we played with that other band, and it was a great experience. Awesome guy.
And also, January 22nd of 2024, you guys actually have the opportunity to do an intermission performance during the NHL game New Jersey Devils versus the Vegas Golden Knights. I was wondering, how did you guys actually get that opportunity? And of course, where can we actually snag ourselves some tickets to actually come out and not only see a great night of hockey, but also a tug-of-war machine playing in between intermission?
Yeah, man, that's also a huge opportunity. I honestly don't even know how these things happen sometimes. as a lifelong Devils fan, I'm sure, you're from Canada, so I'm sure you have hockey. You're very hockey oriented, or maybe you're
Oh
not.
man, actually, I actually hate hockey. I watch basketball.
Oh, all right. That's cool too. I like all sports, honestly. Like, I actually never got into sports until I played sports, actually, believe it or not. When coming up, I was that jock who had like bleached blonde hair and like kind of was against the grain of like the jocks, but yet I was partaking. Like, I played football and I wrestled in high school, so kind of against the grain there, where people would be like, it's not real pop punk, but in a way it was, because I mean, those are the songs, the music I was listening to pump myself up before I would go out on the field or have to go wrestle someone. So it was
Hey
always
man, you can still play football and be on the wrestling team without being a jock, man. Trust me.
yeah,
I
I
was
was
one of
doing,
those geeky. I was the geeky nerd bro, and I still played on the football team.
hell
Wasn't
yeah.
very welcomed. I literally got treated as like pretty much a tackling bag during practice. But that's what you get when you're a nerd trying to be popular.
And someone's got to play that role. Someone has to be the tackling bag. Like, it's very important. Like, don't sell yourself short. I'm telling you, because without that, you don't have the people that can tackle. So, but anyway, I mean, I wasn't the token jock. I was very, people made fun of me all the time, and I loved it, because that's what pop punk is. It's about being able to make fun of yourself and have a good time and laugh at yourself, and it's not about taking yourself too seriously. Music today and the world today is too serious. So one thing I love about pop punk is like people weren't getting like curb stomped outside the VFW halls and stuff after the shows. Like, that stuff always happened during those angry, like, hardcore metal shows and stuff. Those are the shows that got our favorite venue shut down, unfortunately. But yeah, the New Jersey Devil, I just saw like things circulating that like the Prudential Center was having live music, and then somehow uh, got in contact with the person that was putting on these shows, and they loved us. They loved the idea, and I was just like, it's like one thing if it's a program that's kind of like suffering and like the team's not doing good, and like, okay, we need to like get people out to these games, so let's start like having live music. But it wasn't like that case. It's like I feel like they're really showcasing some really good talent in New Jersey at these hockey games, and I feel like hockey is kind of a sport that's very pop punk oriented. You go to the games, they play blank stuff, they play like pop punk songs. You go to like a Florida Panthers game, they'll play Newfound Glory and stuff. Like, you see this stuff. It's just such a cool sport, and it's so cool that like the NHL is in association with this program that they're running at the Devils games. And mind you, the Devils are fucking savage lately. So shit, I don't even know what's the score of the Devils right now. What's the score of the Devils? They were defeated by the Coyotes. Oh god, I spoke too soon. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, no, they're fine. They're gonna be good. But that's gonna be a really sick shot. It's just basically we have a block, we have a group package, and people can go on our Instagram or on our link tree, or contact any of us, and there's a link where you can purchase tickets. We're playing in 2024. It's January 22nd. So Vegas Golden Knights, reigning Stanley Cup champs, flying into New Jersey. The only time they're coming to New Jersey. So I feel like that's borderline going to be the matchup of this season, because both Stanley Cup contenders, and it's going to be a sick show. I'm excited. I'm excited as hell for that. I mean, this is my shrine right there, right there. So I'll be rocking that on stage, and yeah, we'll get to enjoy an awesome hockey game after playing a tug set. So there's nothing really better than that, drinking beers with the homies and playing some pop punk songs. It's living the dream right there, and watching hockey, of course.
And before we actually part ways here this evening, man, I have to ask, because obviously I know how to follow you on social media, but for the individuals here in Canada that are just discovering Tug of War Machine, how can they go about following yourself and, of course, the other members of the band across all social media platforms?
Yeah, so you can find us. I feel like we're the most active on Instagram. Yeah, I would say Instagram is the best bet. So we're Tam_official on Instagram. We don't really use Twitter that much, but we are Machine Tug. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we dabble here and there. Facebook's probably the next best, but definitely go scope us out on Spotify. We got a lot of discography for a band that's not really too well known at the moment. So it's a lot of fun songs. There's something for everyone. I feel like in a way we don't really put any boundaries on our music or songwriting or production of our songs. So it's basically no holds barred. So we got some heavier stuff for people, and then we got some happy-go-lucky stuff, and we got some sarcastic shit, and then we got some, it's all over the place. It's kind of like I don't know what to compare it to be honest with you. I like Reggie in the Full Effect. Like back in the day, he was the guy from the Get Up Kids, the keyboardist of the Get Up Kids. He went on and did Reggie in the Full Effect as a side project, and he kind of did the whole. He did heavy stuff and then poppy stuff, like the pop punk stuff and all that. But yeah, I could compare it to that, but nothing else really. But yeah, definitely Instagram, and that's where we're the most active. You'll find all our stuff. Our link tree is on our Instagram bio and everything, and that'll take you to everything that we've released recently, or the tickets to our shows that we're playing, and beyond. So yeah.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station Airways just a bit of your time, man. It was such an honor speaking with you about your band's history and, of course, what is to come. But for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal night, and I'm pretty sure down the line, we definitely shall talk again soon.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. You go from talking to some legends to talking to someone like me. It's got to be, a little bit of a bummer, but it's awesome to be able to talk to people that are like-minded because – they're not everywhere. So it's cool that they're spread throughout the world and we could connect. I had no idea that this StreamYard existed, and this is really cool that we could do something like this in 2023, talk across country lines.
Hey, man, I would say it's definitely not a bummer, man, because I book all the interviews. I'm a one-man show over here, man. So at the end of the day, I run the station, the whole work. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I knew what I was doing interviewing people like Steve-O of Sum 41 than interviewing you, because what you and Steve-O have in common, man, is two individuals that are highly talented. At the end of the day, fame doesn't matter if you're famous or you're not, man. If you're talented and you have kick-ass music, I want to speak with you.
I appreciate it, man. How did you find us anyway? Because I was stoked I saw you reached out, but I'm just curious because I'm always interested in how people stumble upon it.
Honestly, social media, man. At the end of the day, when your ear is listening for a certain genre of music, you're just gonna listen to it, man. And when I actually saw your guys' cover, it kind of drew me to it, man. I don't know, it's weird. I'm kind of like colorful shit attracts me. Okay, so when I see colorful stuff, I want to listen to it.
I love it.
I literally did not disappoint, clearly, because I'm talking to you right now. So
love to hear it, man. That's awesome. Seriously, thank you so much for reaching out. It's awesome to be able to talk to you, shoot the shit about some good music.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome. Definitely have yourself a phenomenal night, and I'm pretty sure we definitely shall talk again soon, man. But for now, definitely have yourself a kick-ass weekend.
All right, brother. You too. Be safe, bro.